Hello everyone, my name is Marlon Skyler LaRue and I'm an academic in the Department of Genetics at Stellenbosch University. Now I'm very excited to tell you what genetics is and how my journey has led me to choose the field of genetic engineering. Now genetics is an extraordinary field. It dates back over 100 of years ago, and to be more specific, it actually started in 1866. However, it is such an exciting and complex field that we're only really starting to understand it now. This is due to the advancement of technology and, of course, the evolution of man. But make no mistake, genetics is one of those fields where innovation meets the current world expectation. By now, I'm sure that you've heard the word genetics, either in a movie or in school or even on social media, and many will have different definitions of what genetics is. But it really depends on what is being studied. Nevertheless, genetics is a study of genes, hereditary, and genetic variations in living organisms. That means that we can understand the physiological behavior of an organism by looking at the animal or the plant's genes, and we can now understand and predict the phenotype of the organism, which is either the plant, the human, and the animal. And we can confirm how different these organisms are from each other by looking at their genomes. Now, genomes just means all the genes within an organism. But in order for us to understand genetics, we use technology designed specifically for the organism's biology. And so we refer to this as biotechnology. For example, if we want to assess someone's genetics, we would isolate their blood, but to extract the DNA from that, we use chemicals. But in most cases, we actually want to look at specific genes. And for this, we must use temperature control devices. And we have a fancy word for this, polymerase chain reaction, to get more of a specific gene out, which is then referred as gene amplification. After you get the gene out, we can now use computers with machine learning to confirm what we suspect. This might seem a little bit confusing right now, but you will learn more about this in your first year. In the meantime, you should follow these hashtags on social media so you can stay up to date with the current trends in genetics. But why is genetics important? We all know what's currently happening in the world with the current pandemic. Geneticists, together with other scientists and physicians across the world, are working very hard to make sure that we have the most effective vaccines. But to be more specific, geneticists is actually the reason why we can identify new strains of COVID-19 and have a better understanding of COVID-19. Genetics was also applied during COVID-19 testing. But we can also apply genetics to develop supercrops. And what this really means is that we could make crops more resistant to environmental conditions, which include drought and certain pests. We could even increase the nutritional value of certain crops. Genetics also investigate how we respond to specific medication, which is your pharmaceutical drugs. And it's been found that not everyone responds to certain medicine. And this is due to their genetics. And lastly, genetics also investigate what genes certain species have. And this information is really valuable to protect endangered species like rhinos. Because genetics is such a specialized field, there's plenty of job opportunities such as research institutions, which include universities, pharmaceutical companies, agricultural companies, hospitals, biotechnology and genetic engineering companies, SAPs, which is the police and private forensic companies, and one of my favorite, which is national and international advisory committees. Now, I know all this information can be rather overwhelming, right? But ask yourself the following question. Should you consider genetics as a career path? Do you enjoy biology? For example, do you wonder if certain people have better genes? Do you like to solve problems? Do you have an appetite for discovery? For example, do you enjoy National Geographic documentaries? Are you good with numbers? Are you innovative? Can you think outside the box? And also really important is, are you hardworking? Okay, so you're probably wondering if you chose the right subject so far. For this, you can check our department's website. It's all there for you. But the fact that you're watching and listening to this video is really telling me that you're on the right track. But the golden question of this entire talk is, how do I get a genetics degree? So there are three pathways to this fantastic and exciting journey that you can choose from. Why? Because the world is your oyster. Now to start off, the first option is you can choose human genetics. And there are two options in this: BSc Molecular Biology and Biotechnology, and BSc Human Life Science. And this forms part of the Faculty of AgriScience. Sorry, this forms part of the Faculty of Natural Science. Many choose this route when they want to do medical orientated research, which is genetics also. Then the next option you have is animal genetics for the animal lovers. You can choose BSc Agri Animal Production System, which then forms part of the Faculty of Agricultural Science. Then the last option you have is for the plant lovers, which is plant genetics, which I personally find super awesome and exciting. This is known as BSc Agri Plant and Soil Science, which also forms part of the Faculty of Agri-Science. Remember that these three options are very much integrated, so you'll most likely share classes in your first year. It is only in your second, third, and fourth year that you can actually start choosing subjects, which is genetic orientated. So coming back to the Department of Genetics, which also include the Institute of Plant Biotechnology. They do really cool research which involves genetic modification of organisms such as bacteria, yeast, and other cool plants such as potatoes, tomatoes, and sugarcane, and even more plants. Of course, with genetics department itself, there are three research divisions. The first one is human genetics, animal genetics, and then lastly is plant genetics. So to explain in a little bit more detail what exactly the genetics department does. Now, the Human Genetics Lab focuses on schizophrenia, TB, and cancer. As I mentioned, we also have animal genetics, and this includes robotic, livestock animals, genetic diversity, and population dynamics. So you'll find that they do really cool research on sharks and other fish species, but they also do research on insects. And then finally, we also conduct plant genetics and biotechnology. So we focus on grapevine and other cereal crops such as wheat and maize to make them more resistant to environmental conditions, so basically to make them super crops. So to quickly tell you about my journey in becoming a geneticist and a lecturer. So I didn't pass my matric with straight A's. And I don't want anyone to feel that they only need an A or they need to pass with an A to become a scientist. What is important is that you are hardworking, you are persistent, but you also do need good marks. When I came to Stellenbosch University, I wasn't sure what I wanted to study. I knew that it must be science, but I wasn't sure which science, but I had to focus on that. So I chose the BSc Human Life Science with psychology, as I wanted to understand the human mind and how it relates to the human body, which is the human physiology. It was super fun. I had the coolest lecturers, and they made science really fun and chill. And I also had mentors which helped me to stay on track. But also Stellenbosch had the best structures for me to feel socially included. I stayed in res, when Afrikaans they say, Koshuis. I met some of my best friends there. When I graduated my BSc degree, I decided to do an honors in BSc Plant Biotechnology, which was the best and most inspiring degree. It was really challenging for me, but I enjoyed it so much. I did modules like genetic engineering, which is why I chose to specialize in genetic engineering. I did an internship at our department and I graduated that same year because honors is only 1 year. Of course, I needed to continue with the genetic research, so I enrolled for a master's degree in the Department of Genetics. During this time, my research allowed me to travel to Australia. When I came back to South Africa, I had a new perspective on science. So I finished my master's degree after 2 years, and during that time, I was a teaching assistant and a research assistant. After my master's, I intended to find a job, but then I spoke to some of my friends who were working, and from what I could gather is that the PhD would open more opportunities for me. I didn't have much funds to continue my study, but I had good marks, which I then applied for national and international scholarships. I was then awarded a scholarship from Germany, but I decided to take a scholarship from my local government and private industries. I could start my PhD, which was super scary at the time. Still, the genetics department had a way to make me feel calm and collected. I also traveled to Europe during my PhD for my research, and I met some other really cool PhD students there as well. I realized no matter where you do your PhD, we all have the same concern, but we all have this deep and intense love for science and genetics. But as always, life tended to happen, right? So during my PhD, I was also a waiter and a bartender at restaurants and hotels across Cape Town. This really helped me to put my own journey into perspective. And it also serves as one of the greatest motivations to finish my studies and find employment that I feel that I can do really well in. So about a year ago, I applied for a lecturer position at the Department of Genetics. I waited 6 months for an answer from the university, which I then got a phone call to say that I got the job. And here I am, standing with the biggest smile on my face. But this is only the start of my journey. So what is my daily activity like? Well, first I need to get to the office and then get up to date with my admin, which might not be the most exciting part. After that, I gracefully put my white lab coat on and I go into the lab where I get to do really exciting research with the coolest research team. We all work together on this big research idea, and sometimes we must work in a group, and sometimes I have to work alone. Both is pretty chill to me. After that, I prep my lectures for students, which is either first years or final year science students. However, as you know, COVID-19 has thrown everyone's plans out, including myself, which is my daily routine. So all my prepared lectures had to be online, which was still pretty rad if you ask me. There are some days where we do community interaction, which is really refreshing for me. For example, our department would have community gardening, or like the IPB, which is the Institute of Plant Biotechnology, would go and paint an orphanage home. At the end of my day, I also make sure that I get a good workout session and then spend the rest of the time with my family. Remember, balance is key. My mentors has always made sure that I balance myself. The best part of my job is that I actually get to genetically modify organisms, which allows me to understand them in more depth. In doing so, I get to use the latest genetic engineering technology. And if all goes well, I then get to finally make a contribution towards science, which we then refer to as a publication. What is also awesome about my job is that I get to plan my own research. And with this, I get to travel. Guys, I just want to end it by saying at the end of this presentation that you're worth everything you put your mind to. You're smart, you're hardworking, and you're persistent. If you apply those characteristics, then I'm pretty sure that I will see you in your first year BSc class. Good luck, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.